Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. So I have been up for quite some time now, and I was reviewing my emails and reading a bit, and I just kind of sat with myself. You know, some days it's easier than others to just sit and just reflect on, you know, who you are and how you show up and the things that you do. But today, like I said, I'm just sitting with myself and reviewing some of the things that I've spoken on and really kind of touched on this week for folks. The deep conversations that I've had, the shallow conversations that I've had. And I've been talking to a couple, two, three folks, and they had something to say about my political commentary. And I'm just going to respond globally to everyone. The people who know me know what I'm touching on. And the people who don't have questions, and I don't mind answering questions. But my political commentary is about basically bottom line information, systemic racism that we refuse to address. Now, as I logged onto one of my browsers this morning, they had quotes from James Baldwin. And it's funny because, I started watching I Am Not Your Negro again this morning. And the very first thought that I had is that many Americans have told themselves, notice the words I'm using, have told themselves that, separate but equal will suffice. And we're comfortable with the separate but equal policy. And then the separation is based on a global thought of what people, and by people I mean mainstream, not African American people, mainstream who have managed to mentally marginalize black people. Notice I said mentally. Yeah, so they're content with the just good enough based on their perception of what black people need. And I hope that makes sense. It's like you've never had a conversation, an in-depth conversation with a black person, but you somehow know what they need. The country has operated on this for forever. And then, in the opening of I'm Not Your Negro, there are movie snippets. So there's this conceptualization and this visualization of what it means to be black based on Hollywood thought, based on the imagination. And I once heard this quote: the most dangerous place for a black person to be in this country is in the imagination of white folks. And again, I am not talking about separation. I'm talking about conversation in order to have integration. Yes, I did rhyme, but rhyming seems to stick with people when you are touching on a subject that's difficult. And see, in our minds, we never have these conversations because they are difficult and nobody wants to hear that there have been years of subjugation and a steadfast refusal for integration. I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about folks like Baldwin, folks like George Jackson, folks like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Now I'm going to go extreme. Governor George Wallace, Bull Connor. Now, here's a name that's going to shake folks up. Senator Strom Thurmond, Jesse Helms, and yes, even old Thomas Jefferson. And I want to speak to black folks for a minute, and talk about this country's steadfast refusal to teach a true history. The Emancipation Proclamation was never about slaves. It was a political maneuvering. Lincoln could care less about the slaves, but he needed the numbers. Think about that. And we're teaching our kids something different. We're teaching our kids about Columbus. The name Indian instead of indigenous folks and the folks who actually owned the land. Columbus thought he was in India, hence the name Indians. Hollywood movies. Good guys wear white. I think about all the westerns I watched as a kid where indigenous folks were vilified. Now, indigenous folks are in my bloodline. Okay? So I never saw cool, clear, correct representation until I got of some age. And even then, it was a Hollywood visualization. It wasn't the reality that I was living. We have to wake up, folks. And if we don't want to go into a deep regression as far as our history is concerned, we need to wake up with a ballot in our hand. Amen. Jesus is about social justice. Social justice is a true Christian theory and concept for me. I cannot have and practice a theology that does not include social justice. I can't afford to tell myself that, these two should be separate. Whom the Lord sets free is free indeed. If we believe that, then we need to free our minds and be open to study and to learn about one another in order to represent God in spirit and in truth. So that's my political moment for today.